I'd like to talk about how I've struggled, and I still currently struggle with um, a few different communication skills, such as uh, being able to read other people's emotions. Sometimes I can't quite pick up on that, um, which is kind of weird, it might seem. Uh, but it's just kind of how I've always been, and it's just part of what I'm used to in my life. So that's definitely a learning curve. But I mean, it all started when I was born. Well, I mean, obviously, since that's when I started existing, because I wasn't existing beforehand. But when I was very young, about as young as I can remember, I was diagnosed with uh, severe autism. Uh, actually, yeah, I was diagnosed with autism, but later that was refined to a severe case of ADHD. Uh, yeah, a severe case of ADHD that definitely made focusing a challenge. As you could see, I'm having a little bit of a hard time because I've been off my medication, um, because of everything going on. Uh, and also, I still struggle from it later in the day, anyways. But I had a hard time in school when I was younger. I didn't, um, I wasn't always in my mainstream classroom. Sometimes they bring me into a special needs room, and they would have me work with like a one-on-one aide doing whether it was writing or other times they had me go to a speech therapist, and I spent all the time there working um, to fix some of my speaking impediments. I think I had some lisps, and then I didn't quite pronounce certain words quite right. So I did the speech therapy to help reduce my uh, uh, or to help me speak better, which I still struggle with. Um, but so specifically looking at some of the research that I did for this about how learning has been connected, or learning disabilities have been connected to ADHD, and I found a paper written by Sean M. Redmond that states that ADHD has been shown to have possible connections with children's difficulties in like sentence recall, focusing on long narratives, and just general like difficulties focusing, which is definitely something that I had. I was always on and off of medication. Well, I it took a while to get the right medication, but once we got it, I stayed on it because that's what worked for me to help me focus. I only recently got off of it because I wanted to see what it was like being off of it, to gauge. So I definitely have a lot more awareness of what it's like having gone off my meds now. But then also in another paper that I found, it was written by Aaron Hawkins, and they were specifically talking about uh, how ADHD can impact language and communication skills, and that it's very common for people to with ADHD to have trouble and require speech therapy and other aids. Sometimes, if it in some cases, it can be dyslexia, though mine wasn't as severe a learning impact as dyslexia is, but it made it hard to focus and sit down, especially with the hyperactivity. It made it so that I couldn't really sit still to focus, and I still kind of have that. I still fidget. In fact, I have a little fidget here that I do to keep myself entertained so I can sit and focus on one task for an extended period of time. But I mean, in the end, I can definitely say that this class has taught me a lot about myself and how I interact with others. I definitely have work to do, but I've come a long way, and I can kind of see how far I've come now. All right. Well, thank you for the class.